for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart.
KBLA Talk 1580. We can listen to this whole song. I am so excited. She's a Peabody and Emmy Award winner. She's a director, writer, producer. Started as a producer and writer for news outlets, and then went on to produce for people like Oprah Winfrey on her show, as well as Oprah Radio, Apollo Live, Walt Disney Productions, and more. Rita Coburn joins us. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. It's so wonderful to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. You seem like, just from, reading the resume, reading the work, that you're kind of a Renaissance woman. It's giving a little Orson Welles.
Okay, I'll take that. I think that what's really important for me is to understand at any given moment where I am in the culture and what the culture needs from people who are artists, who are really the griots, because I feel like as a documentary producer and director, that we're the people who sat at the gate and said, 57 reigns ago, this happened. Yeah. And we have to keep reminding everybody what happened, because each generation, especially now, is so expansive that we can't fault anyone for not knowing. We have to become the people that tell.
Yeah. The only reason I said Orson Welles is because he worked in so many different mediums, in radio, television, film. And I think a lot of times we compartmentalize, like, oh, you're a TV person, so you can't do film. You're radio, so you can't do, television. And it sounds like you're being that griot and fulfilling that space in the culture across many different mediums.
I'm glad you said that, because I started a podcast on DuBois' birthday this year. And wow. I had not done any podcasts. It's called Our Truth, Our History, Our Story. And I started it in response to being somewhat upset about the fact that media was closing down around us. Yeah. Now, I mentioned this because last night my daughter and I were working on the podcast, and I said, I wrote a story about something that we were talking about because it's Mother's Day coming up. And I went to my library and I pulled off one book. That was a different story. And then I pulled off another. And I hadn't looked at those stories in 10 years. So what you say is true. A lot of times you work across mediums with communications like an Orson Welles and like a Maya Angelou. You write, you play, you dance, you get the art out, whatever way you can get the art out at the time. And artists are dangerous. They have to be. They have to tell the stories of the time. Even the comedians have such a wonderful political understanding of what's going on. And while they make us laugh about it, they find a way to tell us that we need to be seeking a deeper truth than what the current society is just showing us, especially from Black culture.
I love that artists are dangerous. They have to be. I love that. It's a really good point, especially in times like these. And you've taken on big topics with your documentaries. You mentioned Maya Angelou. These are folks that sometimes we can be afraid to talk about, but yet you co-directed and co-produced Maya Angelou, Still I Rise.
Yes.
And I saw that. It was a wonderful piece of work. It premiered at the Sundance Festival. How do you get the inspiration and or get your mind around taking on these, you've done Marian Anderson. We'll talk about the W.E.B. DuBois. I'm looking forward to that. That's coming out next week, I think. How do you get your mind, your bravery up to go and say, okay, I'm going to tackle Marian Anderson or Maya Angelou?
The process for me is very spiritual, and it started when I was a little girl. I was a black Pippi Longstocking without being a racist. When I was, looking for me in books, and I couldn't find me. And I went to our library in my small town, which was 4 blocks by 9. The library was in the basement of the village hall, and on one side was jail, and it probably just had a town drunk or two. And then on the other side was the library, and all the kids would say, "You going to the library down there by that jail?" But I would walk the blocks to the library, run in afraid, and go look at books. And I would see Encyclopedia Brown, Detective Mysteries, and I would see Pippi Longstocking. And I did read that book until it got to a very racist part in there, and I said, she's talking about me. I just wanted to read. But one day I saw Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, and on that back cover was a black woman with an afro. And I ran all the way home to read that book. And I just started saying, God, why aren't my people in the stories? Where are we? Why do I only have one book? And I felt that I heard in my spirit, then write one. It took me 20 years, but I wrote a book. Then it said, called Meant to Be. Then I said, why aren't we on TV? With all due respect, Dynamite, I don't know those people. I know my Mama May and my Uncle Sport. And I felt like I heard them put them on TV. So I started as a young person going, I'm going to tell people who we are. So when these documentaries came to me, and I had done African Americans in agriculture, African Americans in architecture, local documentaries, anything I could find. When these bigger documentaries came to me, I wasn't really afraid. I saw the opportunity, and I had to take that deep breath that Black women take so often when they look at an expanse in front of them and go, now how am I going to climb this hill? And it's just one step at a time. And I really think all these things came to me as blessings to be able to learn about Maya Angelou, who was born in 1928. Because of that, and she knew Marian Anderson, I could go back to Marian Anderson, who was born in 1897. And then I was ready to go back to DuBois, who was born in 1868. So the order of it to me was very divine. And whenever I saw that project come for me, I mean, it was coming for me. I said, okay, I'm going to take it, because with the Maya Angelou, I worked for Oprah Radio. And there was a woman there who said, I know somebody that wants to do a documentary on Maya Angelou. And she said, I'll get you guys to go to lunch together. And we just decided that day, that was Bob Hercules, we're going to do this. And we went for it.
Yeah, there's definitely a courage and commitment, but I love that you said it all ties back to a spiritual, kind of purpose that you were able to identify all the way back to little tiny Rita Coburn.
She was a trip too, so that was true. I think the spiritual realm to me is with us all the time, whether we acknowledge it or not. I mean, it's simply there. And every once in a while, you blink and you see something, or you pray and you hear something. So after I did Maya Angelou, I'm going, God, what do I follow this with? I mean, that's Maya Angelou. I mean, what do you do? And I'm praying about this, and I have this dream. And I know I had it because I used to sleep with my computer at the time. I was recently divorced. And so I could put anything in the bed, right? So I had my computer, right? Okay. So I had my computer right next to me, and I'm praying about this, and I hear in my spirit. I'm not saying people come back from the dead, but I hear Maya Angelou say, "Your next documentary will be about Marian Anderson."
Wow.
I'm like, Marian Anderson. And I heard, yes, she has my same initials, M.A. Now, I sat straight up in the bed, and I'm looking for who's in the room. But all I had was my computer. So I open it up, and I look for any books or documentaries on Marian Anderson. And I find the book, My Lord, What a Morning. So I order it. So that's how I know it happened, because I get the book. And so I'm looking for that documentary. Now I'm chasing Diane Carroll. I'm chasing other people to do a documentary about. And one day I'm on the golf course, because that's my go get it together place. And I get a call from Michael Cantor at American Masters. And he says, I have a documentary I want you to do. And I said, what is it? This is a year after that book thing. And he goes, Marian Anderson. And he starts to try to tell me about, yes, Dominic, that's what happened. And I said, I will do it. I chased everybody else. And here it comes again. I'm like, I will do it.
I love that so much.
That's how it comes. That's how it comes. It really, the documentaries come for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Rita Coburn is our guest, and I'm going to hear more about this journey to Marian Anderson. Certainly, we should note that Maya Angelou and Still I Rise won a Peabody Award. So that's another reason to say, how can I top this? Not just the topic, but also the accolades. And so want to hear the rest of this story. Love the spiritual journey. Rita Coburn is our guest, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions. This is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our communities, we don't. When decisions are being made that affect black lives in our schools, our neighborhoods, our economy, KBLA is in the room. This is more than radio. This is a lifeline, a record, a rallying cry. Black stories, black voices, black power.
The heat is on.
On the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud.
Stand up!
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you for waking up with KBLA Talk 1580. We do appreciate you. And I'm so excited to have Peabody and Emmy Award-winning director, writer, producer Rita Coburn here. We're talking about all of her work, but most especially May 19th, her third documentary for American Masters will be available. It is W.E.B. DuBois, Rebel with a Cause. Can't wait to see that. But we were talking about your second of this series, this American Masters series, this icons, I guess we'll call them, and how you went from one M.A. and Maya Angelou to the next M.A., Marian Anderson. Speaking of giants of African American history. And you had this dream, a year passed, pursuing other things, you got a book, and you get a call. It does sound like everything's in divine order in that sequence.
Yeah, I really believe so. And what also was important to me was that our daughter had studied classical music and studied opera in Vienna. So when I heard Marian Anderson, I was also familiar with her work, not an opera buff, but with some of the studying that my daughter had done. And I had always listened to classical music, mostly without any singing, that and jazz to work by. So I was really pulled in. And then when I began to look at her as a Black woman during a time where she was really growing up, just trying to grow up. And she had this massive voice that was so large that it couldn't be denied. And it was also a time when Black parents weren't saying, get a real job, don't sing. At that point in our culture, the idea that you had a voice, the church was 100% behind you. People were passing the plate because they said, you're going to take us somewhere with your art. And that this voice that you've been given is from God. You couldn't do this if it hadn't been given to you. So we have to support you. And so her whole community supported her. And there were other Black artists that supported her, Roland Hayes. And he had learned to sing from calling hogs. Now, I have no voice, but there's a ski-wee that everybody thinks belongs to some sororities. But that ski-wee was a way to call hogs, and what you would do is you would send your voice out high and bring it back down with a lot of timing with that. Well, what he was actually doing on that farm was training his voice and opening his air passages and training himself to be able to sing low and be heard for a long time across fields. This is how powerful we are. So he takes that voice, becomes one of the biggest male opera singers, and he comes to the church where Marian Anderson is, and everybody pooped her up. She's our girl. We don't know you, but we know her. And he goes, yeah, this is wonderful. And he takes her and helps her to launch her career. And I think we do a lot of that now. We mentor and we see our culture, and there are many of us who understand that no one would be trying to take this history or tamp this down if it didn't have such extraordinary power. Mm. And the people who see that power help the other people come into their own.
Well, and one of the things that gives to me these pieces of work that you're doing so much more urgency is where we are now with African American history becoming controversial or becoming being erased, actually. And so if monuments are coming down and things are being stricken from textbooks and classes are being eliminated from curriculums, having these documentaries that we can always refer to and always have our children, grandchildren, and ourselves watch feels more important than ever. And I'm assuming that's kind of where we started when you were talking about having the role of a modern day griot.
Absolutely. I think that the difference now, and I talked to Nicole Hannah-Jones about this with a wonderful 1619 project. When people try to take our history, then we double down, we go harder, stronger, higher, we grab hold of it and understand that we're going to make it even more powerful. And one thing I would say to your listeners is this: everybody now has a cell phone. The older members of your family deserve you sitting in front of them for an hour or two, asking them to tell you their history and to film that so that their grandchildren that haven't been born yet can see, that's my mama May. This is where I come from. And it's also cathartic because some things that happen to us, people don't even want to tell, but yet they need to get it out. So I think that we need to structure our history first from our family so we can see our own strength. And then when we look at these icons, as you really call them, they have broken through the zeitgeist of whatever that time period is. Whatever the structure was, they have broken through it. And when they break through it, they are able to reach across the waters, across the races, across the genders. So Marian Anderson is just this little girl with this great voice. And she saves up her money and sends herself to Europe. And she makes sure she has enough to come back. So she's an entrepreneur, and she's a very smart woman. And she's toured the South and saved her money and been in places where to sing, they would make her go out in the alley to iron her gown because they couldn't have a person using an iron in their hotel that was black. She went through that and still gave riveting performances. So she breaks through the structure of this time, goes to Europe and finds out the people love her. And so she lives in two realities, that I can be this person here, but I must not be this person there, but I am still gifted. And so she breaks through that, becomes an icon, and then I think she stumbles on I wanted to call it the March on Washington, but her 1939 concert in the mall christens that place as a place of protest. And the quiet protest is this. When you have that many people in 1939, you can't put somebody in the Jim Crow section. Whites and blacks are standing next to each other, watching a woman sing Ave Maria, who's killing it. And they're quiet. And so her protest became, this mall is a place where it belongs to all of us.
Hold that thought. Rita Coburn is our guest. Can't wait to hear more. We're going to learn about the W.E.B. DuBois documentary after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Los Angeles mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt is firing back at Mayor Karen Bass after she accused him of exploiting wildfire victims.
I'm not sure if Karen Bass forgot that she let my house burn down and my parents' house burn down.
The nonpartisan candidate used damaged property in a campaign ad and blames Bass's leadership for the Palisades fire response. President Trump is suggesting Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries be impeached after Jeffries criticized a Supreme Court ruling on voting rights. Legal experts note members of Congress cannot be impeached under the Constitution. And a black mother in Jacksonville, Florida, is speaking out after she was forced into a courtroom hearing while in labor. Sharice Doyley says a judge ordered a C-section without her consent, raising national concerns over bodily autonomy in childbirth. She's now calling for legal reform and accountability. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CummonsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There are some unfavorable numbers facing the Lakers going into Game 1 tonight of their second-round playoff series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Lakers lost all 4 games against the Thunder in the regular season by an average of 29 points. The Thunder are still 15.5-point favorites tonight, the largest point spread for an NBA playoff game this season. Even more troubling for the Lakers is that they have no idea when Luka Doncic will get back in the lineup. A hamstring injury has kept the NBA's leading scorer on the sideline since April 2nd. Lakers coach J.J. Redick said Doncic is out indefinitely. Can the Lakers beat the defending NBA champs in a 7-game series without Doncic? LeBron is a major part of the answer to that question. He averaged 23 points and 8 assists in the Houston series. At age 41, can he maintain this high level of production? 5:30 tip-off on NBC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was the house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of the utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. I mean, we have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement. Douglas Foster, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger, to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
It is, and I'm so glad that you're with us this morning, doing a little bit of Black history, arts, and culture all rolled into one in the form of Rita Coburn. She's a Peabody and Emmy Award winner, a director, writer, and producer for TV, radio, and film. And her latest is coming out May 19th. It's all about W.E.B. Du Bois. It's called W.E.B. Du Bois, Rebel with a Cause. I had the opportunity to go, my first trip to Africa in 2016, to W.E.B. Du Bois's home there. In fact, we traveled with a group called African Focus, and we were able to donate all the paint to repaint that historic preserved space, which contains documents and photos and all kinds of things from the life of W.E.B. Du Bois. He's such another icon, but yet I feel maybe because of his more far-left politics, I think he's more marginalized than some of the other civil rights leaders of that period.
I think that may be true, but we see his relevance today and the fight that he had that really was not just a fight of his time period. W.E.B. Du Bois is still speaking to us through the souls of Black folks, which is taught internationally. He wrote a book in 1903 before anybody was teaching Black history courses. He wrote a book that dealt with sociology before this country embraced sociology as a science. He learned that in Germany. So I call him a rebel because he rebelled against, again, the finite structure of the time to tell our story. And art is dangerous. It was dangerous for him. That's why he was arrested, handcuffed, called an enemy of this country because of the things he wanted to say. And we see that right now, people saying, even over the break, you need to resign because you don't agree with us. What?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so are we, you know, as Kamala Harris said, I am speaking. You know, I deserve a right to speak. You out there in California, give me my time back. We have to fight to be able to say something that does not please the current culture. Where is that in any kind of freedom of speech? And so Du Bois used something that he had. Frederick Douglass came before him as a great orator. But no matter how great you were, without television and all the rest of that, you spoke to a finite group of people. W.E.B. Du Bois had the power of his pen, which was the internet of that day. And so as a result, he had to think and to write 21 books and counting, because we're still finding things. 10 articles, one article every 10 days for the NAACP's Crisis magazine. And at that time in our culture, this was our ebony and jet. This was a way, a way to speak to the masses. And then he turns around and dies on the eve of the March on Washington, so he still gets on the stage there and passes the baton to Martin Luther King. So this man, he wasn't alone. Ida B. Wells and many others shored him up, and he was a part of all that. But he burst through all of the structure of that time period to fight for Black people, and then eventually anyone he considered in a caste situation against a privileged society, that they might have respect and equality. And that was considered a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, my father, the late Mary Baraka, constantly talked about W.E.B. Du Bois. So I grew up always hearing his name, always hearing about his work, his philosophy, and his journey. But I'd never heard it in school. I never saw it on any Black History Month posters. I think, you know, maybe this documentary will play a role in giving W.E.B. Du Bois the more sort of mainstream recognition or inquiry that he deserves.
I think it should give him his due. I think you should turn around and look at him. And I never was able to see your father's last play, but I think it was 2014 when he did the play, The Most Dangerous Man in America, or I'm trying to think of the name of it at that time, and it was about W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yes.
He obviously understood how dangerous it was for an artist like that to have that point of view. And in addition to that, when I was doing some of my research, Louis Massai in the 90s did a documentary, Du Bois in 4 Voices, and your father was one of those voices. So I know you grew up with this, and I'm a fan of the work of your father and your mother.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, come on now. You coming in with history when you walk in the room.
Yeah.
You're coming in with that.
I've gotten used to it. It used to feel like a lot. Now it feels like a blessing.
There you are. You grow into it. You grow into it. And I think people will need to grow into Du Bois. In fact, when we were doing the LA premiere, a number of people came out. Sandra Evers Manley, who is a force with her Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center. I believe she gave the first money to Michael B. Jordan to make a film, and that B. Hirsch is 30 years old. She is one of our executive producers, along with my husband, Andrew Tukar, B.K. Fulton, and two women, Leslie Cruz and Denise from Black Public Media. I mean, people, and Michael Cantor, people got on board with this, is what I'm saying. And people like Sandra understood the assignment. She said, you know, she didn't say this, but since she's a cousin of Medgar Evers, our slain civil rights leader, the minute I said to her, W.E.B. Du Bois, she jumped on board and never got off. And that was it. She was 10 toes down. We doing this. And I felt like it's a movement. And we could not have known in 2022, when I started on this, the world was a different place.
Yeah.
The NEA, the National Endowment of the Humanities, I was able to spend 6 months researching, go for it. I had gotten their highest award for Marian Anderson, and I said, oh, that's how you do that. You don't start a month ahead. You start 6 months ahead. You hire people if you need to. You research this thing, and you give them something they can't say no to. And then my blessing was to get the most amount they would give to documentaries. And once you get that amount, other people say, this is going to get made. It's not a pipe dream. Mm-hmm. And they start giving, and they jump on that bandwagon, and we were able to get these people interested. And I have to say that besides the scholars, and David Levering Lewis was the first person I called, and because he had written 2 Pulitzer Prize-winning books on Du Bois. And he said, I saw your Marian Anderson. I will most certainly help you. And he went in and never stopped. And I can call him today, and he will do whatever's necessary for this. And that's all of these Black people came together. But in 2022, on the heels of the pandemic, I did not know how we were going to get the money and how we were going to do this. And it unfolded in this beautiful way with a ton of African American support. And I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, it sounds, just sounds amazing. It says, commentary by David Levering Lewis, Imani Perry, Eddie Glaude Jr., Nicole Hannah-Jones, and then dramatic readings by Common, Courtney B. Vance, Jeffrey Wright, and narration by Viola Davis. That's pretty top shelf right there.
You pulled out the stop for Du Bois. He deserves it. He fought for us. And when we talk to these people, Common is like, I worked with him on Maya Angelou, and people will know if to steal Erica Baduzian, if you don't want to be down with him, you just don't want to be down.
You just don't want to be down.
You just don't want to be down. So he was right there. And then Courtney B. Vance, my goodness, he's a Harvard man as well. W.E.B. Du Bois, the first Harvard PhD. Courtney Vance went to Harvard, and Courtney Vance called David Levering Lewis and said, I read your books on Du Bois. I'd like to voice them on Audible. What do you think? And so when I went to David Levering Lewis again and said, this is medicine. I cannot skimp on the history, but I'm going to need something to help it go down in the culture. I'm looking for people who have celebrity. He said, well, why don't you call Courtney B. Vance? He did this. So these stars are not just stars. They're invested in the culture. And one of our executive producers said, I can call Jeffrey Wright. And he did. And when Jeffrey Wright said yes, and I have been wanting Viola Davis because I believed after reading Finding Me that she was the person Du Bois was fighting for. I told Jeffrey Wright, I said, who do you think should narrate? Because I have 3 male voices, and I wanted men. I wanted strong Black men, because we can't buy Skittles, we can't ride a bike, we can't sell a cigarette. Put the Black men out front. And so I said to Jeffrey, I need a female voice. Who do you think I should get? He said, Viola Davis. I said, well, can I tell her you said that? And he said, yes. And that's what helped, because I've been trying for 18 months. And when I finally got her in the studio, she said, then you put Jeffrey Wright on me.
I love that. Rita Coburn is our guest. She's a director, writer, producer of numerous documentaries. She's got a Peabody and more to show for it. And we'll find out how you can see this documentary. It's coming out on Malcolm X's birthday and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013 or biglou.com.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk. But we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for health care, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelino, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya, guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Right now, we are talking history, we are talking art, we are talking culture. Rita Coburn is my guest. She is a director, writer, producer. Her latest, W.E.B. DuBois, Rebel with a Cause, will be out on May 19th, which is, of course, Malcolm X's birthday. How do we see this doc?
Well, it is going to be on PBS stations, and I think you have PBS SoCal in California. But everybody should check their listings, because in Atlanta, it doesn't hit until the 28th. So you should check your PBS stations. Now, for an Academy run, we are going to be at the Limley in Santa Monica from the 8th of this month. I have to think I got to go on Friday. I will be there for the first one. And that's going to be from the 8th to the 14th. It will show at 1:10, 4:10, and 7:10 every day. And that will be a precursor. You can see it there. But on television, you want to dial into your PBS station on the 19th of May.
Okay, that's nice. We can see it at the Limley if we want to see it in a big theater, and that qualifies you for the Academy Awards and other things. May 8th through the 14th, and then the 19th it'll be on your local PBS station, wherever that is. For folks that want to go back, and I recommend it, by the way, and see the Maya Angelou Till I Rise, and go back and see Marian Anderson, The Whole World in Her Hands. Where can we find those?
I believe Marian Anderson is on Amazon. I think that Maya Angelou may have run out its run on PBS, and I have to check that. I'm very sorry. But
well, we've all become somewhat sleuths because there's so many streamers and so many platforms. When we really want to see something, we find it. But I love that we still have access to the Marian Anderson one more easily. You started out, Rita Coburn, sort of with a call or a challenge maybe to artists right now to be those griots and sort of be intentional, be spiritual, be mindful in what we're putting out. I wanted to revisit that because it's something that I feel strongly about. Of course, my dad was the founder of the Black Arts Movement. I do feel like we need another round of the Black Arts Movement right now. How do you see it?
I'm in agreement with that. I think that at this time in history, we really have to move the art to the forefront along with everything else, because you are not going to get everybody with one thing. And we're really at a very, not just tumultuous time. This is a time of terror for Black people in this country. And whether they know it or not, people who have less, whether they are white, whether they are any other race, it is a hard time to have your equal rights as a person in this country right now. And the arts is a way to talk about that and a way to reach people. If we look at during his day, not only with the power of the pen, and he was an Orson Welles of sorts, W.E.B. Du Bois wrote The Comet. The Comet was the first science fiction we had, and it was the precursor to Afrofuturism. And that's an 11-page story. You can read most of his work online for free because he wrote it so long ago. It's just sitting there. You just download the PDF, The Souls of Black Folk, all of that. And a lot of them are essays. So you have an essay a day. You teach your children this. And you have this spooky story, The Comet, where something happens and only through a catastrophe can people come together. That sounds to me like the pandemic. For a short period of time, people came together, and then they moved back to the side on the boxing ring after it was all over. This country is continuing to hiccup in terms of understanding that brotherhood and all of us getting together is our best chance for survival, and that the people who promote love, peace, and the equality must win over people who are just doing a power grab. And so the artists have to move at this time to keep that in front of all the people. DuBois did a pageant. That was the precursor to award shows and all the rest of that. This man was a polymath, a true Renaissance man. And I think if you look at him, let's turn this into a movement.
Yeah.
Let's be DuBoisian about it.
Let's be DuBoisian. Miss Rita Coburn, we have to leave it there. It's time for Tavis Smiley's show, but thank you so much. I've enjoyed the conversation deeply.
And Dominique, thank you for all you do. Thank you so much.
Tavis has got an incredible show on deck for you. You do not want to miss it. Like my Baba, the late Mary Baraka, used to say, a person is either free or they are not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom. Until tomorrow, KBLA delegation, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Los Angeles mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt is firing back at Mayor Karen Bass after she accused him of exploiting wildfire victims.
I'm not sure if Karen Bass forgot that she let my house burn down and my parents' house burn down.
The nonpartisan candidate used damaged property in a campaign ad and blames Bass's leadership for the Palisades fire response. President Trump is suggesting Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries be impeached after Jeffries